at the time. It's a little Hi there. My name is Amy Curtis. DePeter is my maiden name, and I come from a family of 7. In chronological order, that would be George and David, the twins, then Peter, Michael, my sister Jane, me, and my sister Lisa. Or so I did. And I can tell you when I got on the calendar for the storytelling thing, I had a story in mind, but my mind is somewhere else, and I need to tell you about it instead. It's an anniversary. You gotta come back with me to June 30th, 2017, 2 years ago. I'm just home from work. I'm a real estate agent. My office on that day had a 4th of July potluck luncheon. I'm sporting a Captain America t-shirt because you know I'm festive. And I have on a pair of cozy jeans because the day is casual. And I don't know what happened, but sometime around when that luncheon started, I got busy and I spent the entire potluck luncheon in my office. So when I get home from work that day, I'm hungry. And I'm telling everyone in my house, you know, it's Friday, I'm not cooking. What do you feel like? Should we get pizza? How about pizza? No, I don't want pizza. How about Mexican? I don't know, would we get tacos or burritos? Tacos or burritos? My phone rings, and it's my daughter, Joanna. She's at her boyfriend's grandma's house in Orland. And I don't know who called her, but she calls me and tells me, Uncle David had a heart attack and he's being rushed to Christ Hospital. It's a brief conversation. And it is as surreal in the telling it as it was in the living it, but I hang up the phone and I'm still thinking about tacos and burritos. Because I'm certain that it's all gonna be okay. So I'm asking my husband and my son, so I don't know, should we just go ahead and get tacos now, or should we like head to the hospital? You know, they're gonna have to admit David into a room. What should we do? Because I'm concerned, but I'm not super worried because it's David and I know he's gonna be okay. I know that when we get to the hospital, he's gonna say, like, what are you doing here? I'm fine, it's all good, I'm okay. It's no big deal, because it's David. See, David is the rock of our family. I mean, he's the big brother and he is the cement that holds us all together. And besides, surely he's gonna be okay. We have already lost way too much in too short a time. I mean, Peter, what was that? Just a year and only some months ago when he died. And George, like that was just 5 months ago. We're just finding our way. Of course, David is gonna be okay. And then I start getting texts. And it's my cousin Elmer, and he says that he and a friend of David's, they're on their way to the hospital. And I text him back, keep me posted, I'm glad you're going there. I'll see you there, let me know what room he's in, let me know. By now I bailed on dinner, I'm not thinking about tacos and burritos, I'm not even hungry anymore. My cousin Elmer texts me again, and he tells me that he's arrived at the hospital, but he hasn't seen David yet. He and David's friend have been taken to a room and they're just sitting there. And I'm getting nervous. I mean, what's going on? Where is he? Is he all right? And because I'm nervous, I have to go to the bathroom. And I'm in the bathroom and I am literally pulling up my pants. I am zipping up my jeans when I look over at my phone on the counter and I see the text from Elmer. He died. He died. And I can still hear the sound that comes out of me. And I can feel it in my gut. And I can feel the hysteria that overcomes me. This cannot be happening. And I come out of the bathroom and I can't breathe, but I'm crying and I just keep repeating, he died, David died. And I call my brother in Tennessee and I just keep saying it, he died, David died, David died. Did I call Joanna again? Did I call my sisters? I don't know. And I don't know how we all figured out to meet at my sister Lisa's house, but we do. My sisters, my nieces, my son, my daughter, my sister-in-law Kim, I think there were 11 of us piled into that van, and we drive to David's house. And we arrive at David's house just as David's wife Vicki and his daughter Jody and his daughter Kristen and his son Nick and the grandkids are returning from the hospital. And of course we hug and cry, but mostly I see us just sitting there in a daze, just sitting in the living room. Someone asks, do you want something to drink? No, I don't want anything to drink. Nobody wants anything to drink. I don't know how long we sit, and all we can do is try to piece together what's happened. David was at work, and of course he was at work, because David always worked. He was a retired fireman, a retired bricklayer, but even in retirement, he worked. He worked at Sox Park. He parked cars, and that's where he was, and that's what he was doing. Directing a car to its parking spot when he had a massive heart attack right there in the parking lot. And yes, he was rushed to Christ Hospital, but he was already gone. Probably right around the time I was thinking about tacos. The next day is Saturday, and we're back at David and Vicky's house, and there are photo albums out, and I guess we're there looking for photographs for like those boards for the wake. And there's talking and talking, but I can't talk. I can't speak. Sometime before we had gotten to David's house, his car was brought home, and I get up from the living room where everyone's going through photos, and I go out to his car in the driveway, and I open up the hatch. And there in the back of his car are cases of water and his cooler. And of course there's a cooler and water because if David's working, no one's gonna be thirsty because he's brought water for everybody. And his milk crates and bungee cords are there too. Oh, my brother, and the many uses he had for milk crates and bungee cords. Bungee cords to hold things down so they wouldn't slide around in the back of his truck, and milk crates holding flats of flour steady. Sometimes it's a step stool or a seat for fishing, and always a couple extra seats for whoever's fishing with him. And always two of them underneath the cooler, so you don't have to bend over so far to get a cold drink. And I shut the hatch and I go to the driver's side and I open the door. And there it is, the aroma of my brother David's car, the aroma of his cigar. And I sit in his seat, and there, all within reach, is the cigar cutter, his makeshift ashtray, which is a coffee can with sand in it. There's his laminated work schedule, the Silver Lake directory in the pocket of the door, his Sox hat on the dash. And wrapped in the aroma of his cigar, I touch each of his within reach things, and I sob. He can't not be here anymore. This can't be happening. In the next days, we're in wake and funeral mode, and what I remember are stories. Everyone's telling stories about David. Fishing stories, golf stories, firehouse stories, golf stories, what a great guy stories, and I can't do it. I can't listen. I don't want to hear stories. I don't want to tell stories. I know all about who he is. I don't want to hear or tell about who he was. I can't. Today is 2 years and 2 days since my brother died, and it is still hard for me to believe. I don't know that I've absorbed or accepted that he's gone yet. What I know is I'm thinking about him and those days. Anniversaries take me back. And that's why the story I was thinking about telling you isn't the story I can tell, because it's an anniversary and my mind is on those days. They're playing over and over and over in my mind. Is that how it is with anniversaries? I mean, maybe the details are sketchy, but you remember. You remember what you were doing, where you were, and what was going on. The days before when you had no idea what was to come, the day of, the hours and moments before when all you knew was you were hungry because you got busy and couldn't have lunch during the 4th of July potluck luncheon and thought maybe tacos sounded good. And then how it felt when it happened. Anniversaries are like being right back there. At the same time, anniversaries, they also mark distance. And I don't know how long it took or how much distance from those days it was before I didn't mind stories so much. I only know now. I cherish all the stories, every single one of them, even the remembered sadness of this one. And I can tell stories about my brother, and so I want to tell you this one. Our mom passed away on December 8th, 2009. You know, those days when you'd be pulling out your Christmas decorations and getting ready for the holidays. And it was the year after our mom died. On December 8th, David called me. Amy, how about we go get your Christmas tree? And that first year and years after that, we do that. He'd pick me up in his truck. It was filled with the aroma of his cigar, his makeshift ashtray within reach, the coffee can with the sand in it. And we'd go over to the Lions Club lot in Midlothian because they had my favorite trees. Those scrappy ones, what are those, Frasers? He always remembered the name of them. And we'd walk the tree lot until I found just the right one. And then he'd carried over his shoulder to his truck. And he'd rest it between the milk crates and secure it with a bungee cord, and we'd bring it home. He'd do that with me, for me. David knew I had a hard time with anniversaries, so he gave me a new memory. And always around December 8th, I remember the days around when my mom died, and I always think of her. But I think of David too, and how much I look forward to, how much I love those December 8th mornings I'd spend with him when we'd go to get my Christmas tree. And I had to tell you all this because somehow, in being with you this evening and doing this storytelling thing for the very first time, it's as though he's doing it again. Because come next year, I'm going to remember this. It's going to be a new memory on a hard anniversary.